Hello, everybody. Welcome back to MajorMinor. I'm recording this immediately after the last episode, and was not prepared for what happened, so I took a little moment to try to gather myself up and get some more water, because I'm having some issues with mouth hydration, I suppose. And we've just learned Rocker died, meaning it seems like he was killed by Max. And Archeron is supposed to be protecting us and has the same ability as Max. And we, as the protagonist, have no power. Cool. But we're important for some reason. Let's just see where this goes. We sit in silence for far too long. Cinch rests his face in his hands in utter defeat. Keela and I exchange glances, unsure of what to do. Was Rocker truly dead and aligning perfectly with those mysterious texts? Wait, I have to use my brain here. The message said a friend of mine would die today. I can't say that I'd consider Rocker a friend. We've had next to no contact since I arrived. The only people I've had real contact with? Keela and Rook. But they're safe and sound. As I make eye contact with Keela, I shrug. Perhaps it would be best for us to leave Singe alone. And perhaps leave this place altogether. We shouldn't have to wait until morning. Not with danger like this lurking about. Especially not since we have those credit cards. Singe, are you okay? I am conflicted. Rocker was a prodigy. This loss is profound. Not just for me and my endeavors, but for the music industry as a whole. He takes out his phone and starts texting. I must confer with Acheron, but I think we all know what this means. Huh? The killer is among us. This calls for a change of plans. A change? I need to work with Acheron. Together we can catch this killer. Well, on the other hand, your flight home has been bumped up. I'll make sure you're home later tonight. I'm sure you understand. Clace was not an isolated incident. The worst has come to pass. We are under attack, and I cannot risk you two as casualties. I understand. Talk about worst case scenario. I wonder if this tour will even happen. So much has gone to waste. But for what purpose? Why would someone want to do this? That's a good question, actually. And I did have a better grasp on things than he did. If someone was misusing their powers from the Ark, why would the man give it to them in the first place? I assumed that he chose his specimens carefully. At least, that's the impression he gave to me. I didn't think he'd choose someone so reckless. In fact, I thought I was the only one chosen. And do I really want to leave? I feel like I have a part to play in this mystery. For now, it seems like this ends tonight. And that's all the time I have before I'm sent home. That's a tall order. Catch a murderer and save Tara all in one night? I feel like I bit off more than I can chew. So what do we do in the meantime? I would suggest sticking together. Or at least be around those you trust. Shock and Rocker rarely parted ways. The killer must have been watching. They waited until Rocker was alone. Don't give them that chance. I'm afraid that is all the advice I have. Wait a minute. You're gonna make us stay here when there's a killer out and about? That's crazy. I thought you'd make us wait at the airport or something, Singe. But keeping us in harm's way? That's a very pessimistic way of looking at things, Keela. You should rethink this. This is basically a hostage situation. We might as well have guns to our heads. And what's the one thing you must never do when someone has a gun pointed at you? Make sudden movements. Exactly. A rash action like that might provoke the assailant into taking rash actions of their own. We must remain here. I think it's best if we let them assume their plan is coming to fruition. That way we can catch them off guard later on. I will discuss the best course of action with Acheron. If I'm not mistaken, this is far from his first brush with a killer. But as it stands, I think the best course of action is not to give off the impression that we fear the killer, that we're running. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Truth be told, I don't know either. But Acheron will. If the plan changes, I'll let you know. I got Singe's contact info. Alright. Singe leans back in his chair with a sigh. At first, I thought I was responsible for Clace's death. That maybe allowing him to leave this place put him in danger. But now I know we've been targeted. Honestly, I think that Clace would have been attacked no matter where he was. I don't know if that's scary or if it's reassuring. But now, the burden of responsibility is one easily discarded. I feel as if my mind has become more clear. I'll use this newfound resolve to find and restrain the killer. Give them justice. And Acheron and myself will do it swiftly. He slams a fist down on his table. You are free to go. Please heed the advice I gave earlier, and I will be in contact with you about your flight. Okay. I messed that up, but close enough. I can understand where he's coming from. Guilt can be a devastating force. To be free from it is truly liberating. Especially if it wasn't your fault. Elsina, you can go. I need to have a few words with Singe. I'll run into you later, I'm sure. Keela reclines in his chair, clearly displaying that he's here to stay. Very well. Be safe, Elsina. I nod. This was all a lot to process. I guess we were expected to act like rats in a cage, moving as the mastermind expects. Hopefully, none of us want to rattle that cage. Would you like to save your game? Yes. No choices have been made yet, so keep saving here. And I don't have easy access to my keyboard. Okay. I take a deep breath as I close the door behind me. I press my back against it, resting for a moment. So Singe was relieved that he's not responsible? It's odd to be relieved in this kind of scenario. But I understand where he's coming from. We've all wallowed in self-pity before. At least he's free to use his energy in other ways. In this case, plotting with Acheron. Regardless of how I feel about Singe's current plan, I know that Acheron will keep us all safe, and talk some sense into him if he's off track. It wasn't my place to decide what they did, but it wasn't my place to defy Acheron's orders either. They definitely hired the best in the business. Elsina. As if on cue, he approaches me. I saw the paramedics carry out a body bag. I was terrified, wondering who it could be. But I got a text from Singe right away. I'm glad to see that you're safe, but in light of what happened, I think some changes need to be made. Singe does not have a good grasp on things. I expect some answers from him promptly, and expect him to put me in charge. Rocker's death was a tragedy, one that could have been easily avoided. If only... Cutting off Acheron, Shock approaches with fervor. What did you just say? I was just saying, it's a tragedy what happened to Rocker. He was so young as well. Shock's hands turn to fists. He trembles, clearly fighting off tears. Tell me what happened. Acheron looks at me, unsure of how to respond. I shrug. Dealing with this is not my expertise. There was an incident, Shock. Like what happened to Clace? Actually, it was exactly the same. Rocker died in the same way? I guess Singe gave Acheron more info than us. But if this was true, then the person texting me, they killed Clace. But not only that, they were the Midnight Killer, using their power from the Ark for nefarious purposes. Then, the culprit is really in this building? And with access to power from a place like that? I shiver, utterly terrified at the implications. It's all connected, more than I thought. I wouldn't be surprised if Terra was involved too. You mean, unfortunately, yes. How could you let this happen? Me? Best in the business? Perfect track record. You're supposed to be here to save us. What were you doing instead? Do you even know where Rocker was? Well, judging by... I don't care about judging by. Your stupid deductions won't save anyone. 2 of my friends are already dead. Shock, please, shut up! In a fit of anger, Shock throws a punch at Acheron. But Acheron doesn't move from his place. He stands his ground. Reaching out a paw, he catches Shock's punch. What? Acheron squeezes Shock's fist. He trembles in pain, trying to break free. But Acheron's grip tightens. It looks like Shock's fingers might snap at any second. Hey! Let go! It's clear that Shock is starting to panic. Perhaps he thought less of Acheron or more of himself. It's hypocritical of you to say that. Instead of releasing his grip, he tightens it further. Don't place the blame of this on me. We're dealing with a serial killer here. And if I'm supposed to protect you, you don't want to be on my bad side. He releases his grip. Shock flies back and lands on the floor. The momentum of his attempts to escape used against him. He quickly pushes himself up and runs away. He covers his face as if in shame. After a few moments, Acheron turns back to me. Terribly sorry about the scene. I have little patience for men like him. Quick to anger, irrational, you know. I saw it in his eyes. He thinks I'm responsible for Rocker. There's no way that he's thinking clearly. I know it's my job to protect, but I can't be everywhere all at once. It's not fair for him to blame me. I'm afraid that now I'm self-conscious. I must not let his thinking dissuade me. He rests his paw on his chin in deep thought. I guess I no longer have a perfect record. Rocker was part of my job description. I'm not sure how to feel about this. That's usually what set me apart. It's not a good thing to have on a resume. In fact, I'm certain that's why the guard before me fled. They were ashamed. But I don't feel shame. Instead, I feel determined. In this instance, it's become clear. It's become clear. The guard before me was just a coward. I'm not going to run. I never would. I'll stay and stand my ground. I'll stop this killer with Singe, I promise. He stares at me with fire in his eyes. I nod and give him a smile, thanking him. His speech made me feel a little safer. Elsina, would you do me the favor of waiting here? I would like to talk to you further, but I must tend to things with Singe. Given the current situation, I cannot put off that meeting any longer. No offense. None taken. Debating our safety was definitely more important. I think small talk would be fading away soon enough, especially if this was my last night here. Whew. We can only hope that the discussion is fruitful. I wave him off and decide to wait around this area. I don't think I'd be waiting too long. Acheron was definitely quick and to the point. Thank you very much. I'll be seeing you shortly. With a smile, he walks off. As soon as he opens the office door, Keela comes out. Without so much as a word, he storms downstairs. Acheron looks at me and shrugs. I do the same. I'm not sure what's gotten into him lately. He's been acting the same ever since this morning, since we got back from Terra. Acheron pushes this aside and enters the office. I decide it's best to stick to the plan and wait here. Keela is more than capable of taking care of himself. I sprawl out on a chair and close my eyes, wondering just what would happen next. Keela wanders the convention center by himself, seemingly against the previous instructions of Singe. He scans the room in a curious manner, as if he's looking for something, unsure of what it is. I really hope I'm not late. Singe sure likes the sound of his own voice. He nervously presses his back against a wall. To pass the time, he uses his phone for a few moments. But out of the corner of his eye, he notices something. A figure slowly approaches him. This is confirmation enough that he's not late. Not too late. He lets out a sigh of relief as his worry washes away. Hello, Keela. I'm glad you could make it. Me too, actually. I didn't think Singe would ever shut up. He's really determined to catch this killer. Yeah, I could tell. Good thing my weapons are here. I doubt Acheron could stop them himself. He's too infatuated with Daz. Really? I didn't figure him the type. He seemed all business and no pleasure. It's hard to get a read on him sometimes. Either way, let's not waste any time. I'm glad you agreed to this meeting. Well, of course. I'd never leave someone like you hanging. It's not every day that a billionaire... Just call me Max, Keela. My money does not define me. Oh, of course. I didn't mean to offend you, Max. It's okay, Keela. You didn't know. But I'm here as Max, not as the CEO of Armstrong Incorporated. Fair enough. Well, I'm here as Keela, so we're on an even playing ground. What did you want to talk to me about? About everything that's going on right now. Sorry for just assuming a moment ago. But are you thankful for the weapons here? I'm not sure. I know Acheron isn't, but he's also not doing his job. I mean, if he was, Rocker would be alive, right? Glad you see it my way. But your weapons didn't help either, so I can't say for sure. Sorry, Max. Wow, what a sharp wit you have. If that wasn't funny, I'd be offended. Singe is the one responsible for that. He has the key to detonate the weapons. I do too, but it's not my job. He bought them, so he should use them. Instead, he's too busy drowning himself in sorrow. What a drama queen he is. Well, Rocker's death changed that. He realized Clay's death wasn't his fault. So he feels a little better now. Is that so? Yeah. So maybe his judgment will be more clear. Still no excuse for Rocker, though. I'll say. I guess my weapons haven't exactly gotten the chance to prove themselves yet. I hope you give them the proper chance. I guess. I'm not going to be here for much longer anyways. I'm flying home later. But Singe wants us to keep it secret. He says if the killer knows what we're plotting, they might take rash action. Oh, really? Max smirks softly. Thank you for sharing that with me. Wouldn't want you to get caught in the fray. Yeah, exactly. So whatever happens here, I'm out. I didn't want to come here to begin with. Wow, can't believe you said that. You must trust me if you let that slip up. Well, I don't see why I can't. I hate Tokyo. It's so stupid. Everyone's staring at me like I'm weird. I know. I dug into your history a little bit. Really? Why? You're just so interesting, Keela. Did you tell anyone else? I mean, the real reason you're here? No. That's probably for the best. It would be a shame if everybody here found out you were lying to them all this time. Hey, keep that to yourself, Max. Perhaps I will. Or perhaps I won't. I'd be more inclined to keep it to myself if you were to do me a small favor, Keela. Fine. Checkmate, I guess. Oh, not quite yet. But I'm afraid I have to go for now. My favor involves another meeting at about 7 o'clock tonight. Are you down for that? Sure. Where at? Max points down a hallway connected to the lobby. Second door on the right. There's a small meeting room there. It'll give us much more privacy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have another meeting to attend to. She disappears just as fast as she arrived. I had to open my big mouth. Keep getting myself into trouble. Would you like to save your game? Yes. And I might call this episode a bit early here, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Ta-ta!